our elders are put, I feel that they're kind of put aside, and they're alone, and they got their own homes. The tribe gives them their own homes, and put them by themselves, and they got their SSI and their income, but they don't have their people with them anymore. Like my dad lives by himself, takes care of himself. He's an old man, barely making it, but and that's what happened to today's society, that we put our old people in the corner, and don't listen to them, or don't go there for guidance or knowledge, because we're too busy out here trying to make it in this world, So, as young people, I feel that we need to recognize that our old people are pushed aside, put in the corner, put on the shelf, not listened to, not respected, and that needs to come back, a respect for our old people and the life they lived and the knowledge they have and the tradition that they have for us in our language and our songs and our ceremonies, that they have it in the skin, and we should have it. We should have it, and giving it to our kids, and we don't, because we don't have that connection with them elders that give it to us, and so this filming of a documentary, letting people know that, there is concerns out there for our elders and the way they're treated and what we're doing and what we're not doing. They tell us not to do that, so we need to listen to that, and that's why there's so much hate and war and anger in this world, because we don't listen to our elders that way. They would tell us how to deal with it without violence, without anger, and that's what they're there for. And then we need to not put them in the corner, and need to listen to them and tell your grandchildren, you go listen to your grandpa. He'll tell you what, So that's part of our culture that we need to work on and focus on, as young people and young, strong people, that, we need that guidance from our elders, in our lives. That's what they're there for us to seek knowledge from, and then respect our Mother Earth here. It's one of the major things that's going on in this world too, is disrespect for our Mother Earth that gives us life, food and water, and then we just desecrate it, and so that's another area that in our lives that as young people we need to focus on, that the desecration of our Mother Earth and our grandfather and all that lives around us. We have respect, and we all live together and share and everything like that. That's missing in our life too. So much that we have got away from the heart of the people, the drum, the songs, the ceremonies, the water, all that. It's not part of our life, seems like, The money situation was tight, so we had no transportation. Our spirituality was gone, and we were just trying to make it, day by day, And then my dad came back and sobered up and wanted to teach his grandchildren what he didn't teach his own children, about sweat lodge and spirituality and the Creator, So I see it now, like his grandchildren look up to him for the spiritual guidance that he came back to give them. He made it available to them where it wasn't available to us. Whether they chose to follow that path or not, it was still there, available to them. And I think that has to do with a lot raising kids like this, making things available to them. The spiritual path, whatever, art and music or some like sports. A long time ago, when there was no alcohol and drugs, and before European contact, it was all about spirituality. The more spiritual you were, the more that's what we grew as. That's what we were taught, to be spiritual as children. And as a child, your grandfather showed you the ways of the sweat lodge and spiritual and one with nature, and that was taken from us. You know, that does no longer, you know, Grandpa doesn't spend time with us all the time because he's not there, and Grandma's not there all the time. You know, so and it's just not being taught anymore. You know, and so today's technology is really running wild. You know, and that takes our kids and just makes them into zombies on their phones or their computers or their TV. You know, they're just glued to it. So if all that time was spent on you know, walking in nature and going to sweat lodge and going down to the creek and, you know, learning about all the birds and the, you know, deer and all, you know, everything that they do and stuff like that, instead of learning the video games. You know, so I think that the new generation has been brainwashed by technology. Yes, as a child, you know, growing up with a non-spiritual family, it took I had to go to prison to even go to sweat lodge. The first time I went to sweat lodge, I was 34 years old and I was in prison. You know, even though my dad, you know, was a spiritual leader, I never went to sweat lodge until I learned, you know, in prison to do that, and got out and found that that was a good way for our people, and would like all of us to be involved in sweat lodge ceremony as often as we can. You know, it keeps us clean, it keeps us on a right path, it keeps us sober and thinking good things, and you learn so much at the sweat lodge from your elders about the way you treat your family, the way you treat your wife, you know, and your kids and all your relatives. You know, you treat everything with respect. That's what it teaches you, to respect all living things and be one with the Mother Earth and the Father Sky, and live in harmony and not live in turmoil. You know, so growing up as a kid, I didn't see that, but older I got that. Later on, about through my dad, you know, about, you know, him trying to teach the grandchildren and doing good things, you know, as opposed to drinking and running around and whatever. You know, in his younger days, he cleaned up and then came back and started to give that to his grandchildren. So that was a good thing on that part. You know, that might happen if you know, the energy, or if the United States is attacked, or there's declared martial law, or they cut off all the services for the poor. The families would have to get back together, and they would start doing the sweat lodge, and start living off the land, and go back to the creeks, and, you know, and get out of the cities and the houses and and the apartments. Yeah, you know, if that time comes, you know, then I know that the families would come together, back together, to take care of Grandma and Grandpa, and, you know, because they have no money, they have no way to feed themselves, no way to protect themselves or anything. So the children would have to do that, I believe, just like they did before when it wasn't available, the help from the government, I guess, and seek knowledge from them.
Yeah.
You know, because they've lived 70, 80 years and been you know, hurt, or, you know, been heartbroken, and you know, when you first get your heartbreak, you know, it's the end of the world, but Grandma would say, no, it ain't, you know, and Grandpa will be there or whatever. You know, so that's what it, you know, then you get over it. But if you don't have that, if that's no longer in your life, you know, you don't get that guidance. You don't get that the let down. I mean, not the let down, but the calm you down and make you feel comfortable like Grandma and Grandpa does, you know. And a lot of like a lot of parents don't even do that anymore to their kids, you know. And Grandma and Grandpa used to do it, but then they're not there, so, you know, just not, you know, we grow up and we're callous. We're not. There's nothing. We're not emotional about our Grandma and Grandpa, Mom and Dad, or stuff like that. It's just taken away from us, you know. Now I believe, you know.